My father was a carpenter who worked hard every day. His back was bowed, his hands were hard, his locks were thin and gray. That was many years ago. The locals then were small, and every man who met the boss would touch his hat and crawl. But father had a rebel's heart, and often he told me of how he hoped to see the day when workers would be free. I went to school each morning, but most that they taught me was how old England licked the world and was mistress of the sea. Of Wolfe and Blake and Nelson, half the day they would brag and tell how glorious it was to die beneath some flag. They would tell us of the Dargia Heights and of Majuba Hill. They taught it was a noble act to kill and kill and kill. One day we had a visitor of military mien. He had the slickest uniform we kids had ever seen. He gave a little lecture, and it was all about how would we like to go to camp and be a Boy Scout. We would march each day away. It would be jolly fun. We would get a pretty uniform and maybe have a gun. I ran right home to father and hopped upon his knee. I was going to be a scout. Wasn't he proud of me? The man would call the teacher's bed and fix it up with Dad. She said she knew each parent would be mostly proud and glad. But Daddy didn't hear the news any show of pride. He kind of hugged me tighter, and then he kind of sighed. One evening I was playing home with what little friends I had. The military fellow called and asked to see my dad. But when my father spied him, this well-dressed master scout, my father grabbed the poker, and I heard my father shout,
"Out of my house! No child of mine will be a Boy Scout. Out of my house, you useless tool, I know what you're about. The soldier of tomorrow is the Boy Scout of today. Our very blood and bones you'd use against us in the fray. You rob the worker of his child and dress him like a clown. You put a gun into his hands to shoot his father down. Give you a child of mine to train, you take me for a fool. You keep your hands off me and mine, you capitalist tool."
That military man so grand was timid as a mouse. Last thing I remember, father chased him from the house. And then he took me in his arms, and he kissed me once or twice. I never saw him cross before. He was always sad, but nice. Before I went to bed each night, he would tell me stories fine. And the one he told me that evening was about the homestead mine. Somewhere far away, he said, there was a little town where he had seen the soldiers come and shoot the workers down.